And welcome back to Community Focus, where it's all about what matters locally to you. I'm Noah Dingley, right here on these very same Salem Network stations. Did a replay last week and got you some basic information, if you forgot about it, from one of my favorite organizations to talk to, ECOLIFE Conservation. And we don't have Kate in this week. We don't have Bill, but we got a great person that I've been talking to a little bit off the air. He's been with ECOLIFE for about a year now, and this guy knows a lot. And I'm really excited to talk about, give you a refresher about ECOLIFE, and get into some more of the specifics that has to do with aquaponics, but I just find fascinating. So we have Martin Niwinski, and he's one of the technicians for aquaponics down there at ECOLIFE. Martin, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Noah.
Well, let's start off. You were a San Diego native. I'm not too far off from you. I'm from L.A. And just recently, you actually have just got this, you called it obsession with aquaponics. You used to be in a kind of like a different line of work, but this thing has just got you just fired up. And throughout your career, you have helped design, build, maintain, and just upkeep these systems and their backyard commercial systems. And you want to have the cutting edge of aquaponics just go forward full steam. And I really find that there's just not enough knowledge about this, which is why I like having you guys on the show and kind of hyping up aquaponics as much as possible. So what got you started? You told me you were in a rock band. I find that fascinating. I love that. But what got you in the direction of wanting to work with aquaponics and some of the stuff that you guys deal with at ECOLIFE?
So I heard about the idea and became really enthralled with it because of the sustainable aspect of it.
Yeah.
I like that it's a closed loop system. Mm-hmm. With aquaponics, you can grow plants up to 25% faster. You use 10% of the water. It doesn't take you need electricity, but it's not very much. It's usually enough to where you can run it off a couple solar panels. And you're growing fish and plants and bacteria in the same system, and it's just really interesting. There's a lot of variables. It never gets boring. I'm always doing something new, and it's a really exciting learning tool. And
sounds like it really makes things a lot more efficient too.
Very efficient. I've grown things in soil before, but I was never good at growing plants until aquaponics, because I'm able to control things a little more closely than with soil. Yeah. And I know what my pH is. I know more what my nutrient makeup is. And
like you and I were talking about off the air, something when you're dealing with growing things can be very simple, or it can be super complex. It depends how deep you want to go.
Definitely. There's I don't want to say infinite variables, but almost within these systems. And with gardening as well. I mean, it's an art and a science combined, and it takes a lot, to get started, but it also doesn't. You can put a plant in and kind of get it going enough to satisfy your hunger to grow something. It's great.
Unless you're my dad, don't give him a bonsai tree. He'll kill that within 2 days.
I've killed many of those.
That's right. Well, let's get started. I think give people a refresher on exactly what aquaponics is. As I said at the beginning of the show when we were doing introductions, it's not really as well known as I think it should be. And you guys are putting some of these programs in schools, which I think is amazing, and teaching kids through kind of a hands-on experience. So what's aquaponics, Martin?
So aquaponics is a combination of two things. It is aquaculture, which is the raising of a marine animal, water, typically fish, and then it's hydroponics, which is growing plants without soil, and it's combining the two. So in an aquaponics system, it's a closed loop system where fish make waste, and that waste is processed by bacteria and converted to a form that plants can uptake, and the plants take up the nutrients and clean the water for the fish, and that water goes back to the fish tank, and then the whole cycle continues. So with aquaponics, you don't need to do water changes like you do with having a fish tank, and you also don't need to flush out nutrients like you do with hydroponics. So aquaponics uses only 10% of the water of regular soil growing, and it also can grow plants up to 25% faster because plants have access to the plant roots are sitting in water, which they're able to do because the water is oxygenated. So the plants are breathing through their roots. They also have access to all the nutrients that they want all of the time. Normally with soil, plants are usually taking up nutrients when they're watered, is usually when...
So when it's available.
With aquaponics, because it's always available through the water.
Always getting fed.
They're usually fighting more for sun and space rather than water and nutrients. If you have, say, like a garden bed, so you have a garden bed, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep plants a certain space apart, because otherwise they're going to use up all of the nutrients and start fighting for them. You're going to start to see deficiencies that way. With aquaponics, you can put plants very close together, because the amount of nutrients is dependent on how much you're feeding the fish, and also if you're adding anything else to your water. So your plants you can grow big plants right next to each other. For instance, at my house, I have a small grow bed, right? It's maybe 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet. I put about 20 cucumber plants in there.
That's a lot of cucumber.
This summer, and just had vines growing everywhere.
Yeah.
That's something you couldn't really do in that amount of space with soil gardening. You wouldn't be able to maintain your nutrient level, especially with something hungry, something a fruiting vegetable like cucumbers, right? So you save space, you save water, your plants grow faster. There's not a lot of downside to aquaponics. It's really exciting.
Can you think of one?
I can think of many, but there's not a lot compared to So basically,
compared to the pros,
compared to other styles of gardening. I mean, some are that the learning curve is more steep, right? Because you're kind of balancing the fish, the bacteria, and the plants. You have to balance the needs of all of those together.
Okay.
And the other, so basically the learning curve, I think the complexity.
That's the main one.
You could definitely, have system failures and stuff, but in general, you can kind of learn as you go, and the amount of support online is incredible. There's all these Facebook groups now where people just throw up, hey, I'm having a problem with this, and then everyone will just come in and you'll have 30 answers.
So there is a growth in knowledge. Maybe it's not as out there as we want it to be in aquaponics, and people are, I'm going to say, for lack of a better term, just starting to kind of catch on to this. Yeah,
it's an old technology. People have been throwing fish into rice paddies and had kind of floating gardens for thousands of years. But the kind of taking the hydroponic system elements and doing this type of thing in inside or in a backyard, this is definitely. It's definitely having a renaissance, and with the internet, the amount of information on it is spreading quickly.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that off the air too. You can, not have really any experience in whether it's aquaponics or other sciences, and if you have just a little bit of a spark that you're interested in it, you can just dive as deep as you want and get a wealth of knowledge and educate yourself even without going to school, and then even go to school beyond that and learn even more.
Yeah, and you take elements from school, and you can work with aquaponics on a very shallow level if you want. Part of ECOLIFE's goal is to educate the next generation of farmers, because right now you have a very, very, I think it's 2% of something of the population are growing the food for the rest of us.
Wow.
The population is expanding. We're going to have 9 billion people by 2050. The amount of food we need is set to double.
Wow.
But the other issue is that, we're really good at growing monocultures, and we're really good at growing a lot of corn and using fossil fuels and fertilizers, and just, we grow food that way. But the thing is, people need better food,
It's true.
So the demand for fresh produce is growing, and you have climate change, you have things that are going to affect traditional agriculture, not to mention that it's one of the most destructive things on the planet, really.
Yeah.
It's the way we grow food.
It's true.
So ECOLIFE is focused on finding on basically improving sustainable agriculture and teaching the next generation ways to do that. So one of the ways we're doing that is we have a thing called the eco cycle, which is it's a system it's an aquaponics system that fits on top of a 20-gallon fish tank.
Okay.
And it's kind of a plug and play system. You basically you start off with a couple goldfish, and it's really easy to plant your plants. And we have videos online that show you how to do all this, and we have a curriculum that kind of comes along with it, and it just guides you through. So if you're interested in aquaponics and you want to start out without studying forever, you can kind of jump right in, it's
right there on the ECOLIFE website.
It's on ecolifeconservation.org.
Excellent.
And you can get it on Amazon as well.
Okay.
So this kit, we just redesigned this kit. We got more of a sleek look to it, and we replaced we had these they're called T5 lights, and we've replaced those with LEDs, so it uses less energy.
Excellent.
A little more efficient, and so we redid that, so you can look at that. But if there's any teachers listening, we have a grant program where teachers can go on our website, apply for this grant, and they can get this system in classrooms.
Nice.
So we've put EcoCycles in over 600 classrooms across the nation.
Now, do you guys do that more, Martin? By the way, if you just joined us here on Community Focus, Martin Niwinski from ECOLIFE, one of the technicians with the Aquaponics program there, and he's here talking about all things aquaponics, and this is just a great refresher, get into a little bit more specifics as well. The other thing that you do is you do the aquaponics systems there in the schools as well. Do you do more of those or more of the eco cycles?
I'm more of the tech guy for the eco cycles. When we have if someone calls up with a problem we can't figure out, I usually get the phone call and end up talking to them for a half hour, and working them through it. But that program is run by Kate and Connor, and they got it pretty dialed in for the most part. My main focus is I work with kids and we design and build systems that are more backyard style, a little bit bigger.
Gotcha.
In schools, and we use that. We do that in middle and high schools. And that's been a great learning tool. Kids get really engaged and excited about the idea. We kind of have this curriculum where they go through, they do their own research about aquaponics using the internet. So we ask them questions and kind of guide them and work with them on, kind of point them in the direction of how to research. And then I think it's a great experience that's closely related to the real world.
It really is.
You have a question, you need to answer it.
And you guys just did one of those at I believe High Tech High, and you guys got another one that you're either in process with or doing one at Helix High.
Yeah, so the one at High Tech High was really cool. We kind of did that at the beginning of summer, and now the kids are coming back, so we'll be kind of getting that back in gear and getting the system up and speeding ahead. Then the one at Helix is, which is my old high school, is really interesting. We got a grant, a co-grant with San Diego Canyonlands. They're a habitat restoration company, and this is through Prop 1. So they're doing habitat restoration along the San Diego River bed, because it's been taken over by invasive species, excuse me. And so they're taking out the invasive species and they're replacing them with native plants. So this program is we're building an aquaponics greenhouse at Helix High. Very cool system. And the kids are going to test growing native plants in aquaponics. So the idea is that we're growing it with aquaponics, so it's going to only use 10% of the water. But also we're hoping to see the 25% more growth with these plants, so we can kind of get them jump started. Then we're going to take these plants and transplant them to soil, get them acclimated to that, and then eventually they're going to go to be planted near the river.
That's a cool program.
As part of the habitat restoration. So yeah, it's super exciting.
Noah Dingley right here on Community Focus, again with Martin Niwinski from ECOLIFE. He's a technician with the aquaponics program there. Tell us about, you guys have a huge, I'm guessing it's probably the largest, 8,000-gallon aquaponics system. That's at your ranch in Escondido. You guys are a local company, which I love. Tell us about that. Is it the largest?
Well, it's definitely not the largest. I'd say it's one of the largest in San Diego.
Yeah.
There's a great group called Solutions Farms. Theirs is there's much larger, but in San Diego, it's a pretty large system, and even in it's a pretty large system in general.
Yeah.
But it's not the largest, but it's a cool system. We harvest about 85 pounds of produce a week, and that goes to. They're called Interfaith. It's a nonprofit group, and they distribute that to people that need it.
Good.
In Escondido. So it's really cool. We have volunteers and interns that work with me at the ranch there. And so that's a really cool program. People come and I teach them basically anything they want, as much as I can.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. If anyone is interested in volunteering, you can find my email on the website, ecolifeconservation.org. And you can come work with me if you want to see a big aquaponics system in action.
Volunteers it's a huge part of ECOLIFE, and I like that you guys really try and get people as involved as they want to be with what you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, and even yesterday we were working on the Helix Greenhouse in the heat, and I had 5 volunteers, and we're out there sweating together, and I just couldn't do it without our volunteers and interns.
Well, I don't have AC, and I'll tell you what, it's actually better going out there and doing stuff than sitting in your hot house with about 8,000 fans blowing on you.
It keeps your mind off how bad it is.
For sure. So if you want to volunteer, just go straight to the website, and you can contact Martin that way, and he'd be happy to have you. Also, there's some new developments with your Mexico program, which actually is a whole different thing that ECOLIFE does in building some of these stoves. So tell us about the stoves you build in Mexico first, and then I'll get into some of the new additions that you were talking to me about.
Sure. So ECOLIFE it was founded on the premise that you can't really have conservation unless you're involving people in conservation. Mm-hmm. So sustainable agriculture is our kind of domestic program. And then our other main program is in Mexico. And the monarch butterfly, they migrate to one forest with the same trees every year. And then over 4 generations, they fly up as far as Canada.
Wow.
From Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so 2 generations up and 2 generations back.
That's crazy.
Don't ask me how that works. But this is programmed into their DNA. So the monarch butterfly is kind of a fragile species in a way, right? Because it's this one location is responsible for all of those butterflies. And we're talking about, I don't know the exact numbers, but millions and millions of butterflies.
Okay.
And that's where they all go. So one of ECOLIFE's, our founder, Bill Toon, he's
great guy.
Yeah, he's worked with the San Diego Zoo for 30 years, and
condor program there. And
he basically saved the condors, and he's focused on saving these monarchs. One way we do it is through fuel efficient stoves, because the people that live around that forest where the monarchs are, they cook over a 3-stone fire, and they are using wood for this forest out of necessity. So these stoves cut the amount of wood in over half. They're much more efficient, and they also provide a chimney because they're beneficial to the people, because right now people obviously think about having a fire inside, how that's going to affect.
So how does that affect air pollution? I think that's what you're getting at.
Well, it also affects air pollution. It definitely cuts down on CO2 because you're burning less wood. Yep. But it's using because it's using less wood, the forests are able to be preserved for the monarchs. And then because the stove has a chimney, there's the smoke is going outside rather than inside. Rather they're in their houses. So if you're having a fire inside, it's like you're smoking 5 packs a day.
Yeah.
So people's health down there is severely affected by this. But this is they've seen measurable health results down there due to the stove program.
Yep.
And anyway, so the stove program down there, we got a new truck. And we got some new people on board.
So not as much back and forth for you. Now you can actually maybe do it in one trip.
Yeah, they're able to kind of get everything in one trip, and because they're going way out into the forest to people's homes that live just kind of in the middle or off the beaten path, rather.
Have you done one of those trips personally?
I haven't. I was supposed to go actually in January, but I'm having a kid in November, so I don't.
Well, I
don't think that's going to work out.
As a father of 2 boys, congratulations. That's excellent.
Thanks.
Well, the Stoke program is something that is also, if people want to volunteer for this, they can volunteer for this as well, straight through the website again, right?
Yep. Yeah. If you, we'll take any not any volunteers, but if
there are standards,
there are standards. If you're interested in helping, we can usually find a way to utilize your skills. There's always something to be done.
Another thing I want to point out too, we don't talk about it too much, but if you want to donate to ECOLIFE, because they are a 501c3, as much support as you can give, they would greatly appreciate that. Just go straight to the website. There's a donation tab on there, and whatever you feel compelled to give would be a great thing, and I'm sure that Martin and the entire staff would appreciate that. The last thing I want to talk about, and we have some time, we're not almost out of time, but I want to make sure we get to it, is the big gala. You guys have it every year on November 4th, and this is a huge fundraiser for you guys. So Martin, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a really cool event. It does fund our program for most of the year. One thing about donating to ECOLIFE too is that our board of directors has covered our administrative expenses.
Okay.
So your donations go to the programs. Unlike with a lot of nonprofits, it's going to different aspects to keep the.
This goes straight to the.
This goes straight to the program. So that's one very cool thing about any donations you make.
Nice.
So we have this gala. It's going to be at a restaurant called Ventana in Escondido.
Okay.
It's in the Lexus dealership. It's a super nice restaurant.
So you're out there, you buying a car, just stop by.
Yeah, if you're just picking up a Lexus. So it's going to be a super fun event. We have bands and a really nice dinner, and really cool. If you have a company and you want to donate anything to the gala, we have a bunch of auctions and items that people have donated, and so those get bid on and get some good exposure. If
you want to buy tickets, we're not going to ram this down your throat, but I'm going to put the information out there. 501auctions.com and /ECOLIFE. That's where you're going to want to go. 501auctions.com /ECOLIFE. That's where you get your tickets. And this is their big event. And whether you're going to donate, make a donation, whether it's financial or whether you have things that you want to actually donate to the actual auction to actually have money made off of, that's great too. Go support them. That's something awesome. You going to be there this year, Martin?
I will be there. And it's working for ECOLIFE is amazing. I mean, I feel really fortunate to work for a place where I know we're doing good things and I can see the effect of what we're doing. So it's definitely cool. If you want to volunteer with us, or you're interested in the gala, check out ecolifeconservation.org and
that's what I like about your company. That's why I've had you guys on several times just to get updates and whatnot, because yeah, you guys have a passion for what you do, and that's great, and it really is. But what you guys do affects so much of what is around us all here in San Diego, and then with some of your other programs abroad and beyond that. And it's just something that we need to be able to make people aware about and to teach these concepts and to be able to grow and learn new techniques.
Yeah, definitely. And it's fulfilling too. Cool thing about aquaponics too is you can do it in a lot more spaces than you can normal soil gardening. So if you in a really small space, like for instance with our EcoCycle, you can have a 20-gallon fish tank and you can grow a bunch of herbs or lettuce or basil, whatever, and pull from it for your kitchen and just have it right there. Whereas it's a little bit harder to do that amount of plants in that amount of space.
So if maybe you don't have a huge space, some of us don't, have a small home or whatever, and you want to maybe do something. Aquaponics is something that's going to allow you to do that, and you could just have, what's the smallest space you think you could have, Martin, to be able to do something like aquaponics?
They have systems that are, a couple gallons that I've seen. I don't personally like those systems. I think they're kind of setting people up for failure, because a system that small is going to be very hard to maintain. It's not that you can't. It's
okay, what about the smallest size for something that is actually going to work efficiently?
I think 20 gallons is
20 gallons?
about the smallest you want to go.
Gotcha.
But it's not that big, really. It fits in a 24-inch by 12-inch footprint. And
yeah, that's still pretty small.
It's pretty small, and it's good, man. Having a fish tank is really a calming, interactive thing. Just watching fish swim for a few minutes it'll drop your cortisol. You just can kind of zone out. Your fish have different personalities. You get to know them, and they can be super entertaining. And then on top of that, you're growing food and kind of learning how we're creating mini ecosystems.
Yep.
So. Well,
Martin, it has been great. If people want to learn more, they can email you. It's Niwinski. It's Niwinski at ecolifeconservation.org. If you're not going to remember that, that's okay. Go straight to the website. The email is on the website. You can find them there. You can make donations through the website. You can volunteer through the website. It's ecolifeconservation.org. Martin, we're wrapping up. Anything else you want to tell the audience before we wrap up this segment of Community Focus?
I would just encourage them to check out aquaponics. I think that growing your own food is one of the best things you can do in your life, honestly.
Excellent. Well, Martin, it's been a pleasure. Give EcoLife a call, 760-740-1346, ecolifeconservation.org. We'll maybe have you back another time when you guys got more going on and more updates. And it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Noah Dingley, Community Focus.